characters dressed as them, participating, talking online about the game that hadn't yet come to print, but now the cards are here. We've had them for over 2 years, and here we are, our first match of round 6, going into game 1. Ooh, and we've got a Ruby Amethyst against Sapphire Emerald. What type of match do you think this is going to be? Fast, slow, control?
It's going to be a rough one for one of these players. No, this is these are 2 decks. One of these near the top of the meta. Everybody expected to be there. Emerald, Sapphire. It's a deck that a lot of people are on. It's a very control-y deck, a very top-heavy deck. It wants to ramp, and I can see immediately with the Cinderella in hand that we're on the 2-4-6 version that wants to ramp multiple times to get to the end game. And on the other side, a deck that's been kind of up and coming. Ruby Amethyst is a deck that a lot of players love, a lot of villainous players love. It was vanished for a while after rotation when it lost Be Prepared and a lot of its other tools, but here it's back again with a more aggro-y version. It made a splash in a CCQ out in Las Vegas where the finals was Ruby Am, and everybody said, oh goodness, this is back on the menu, and now we're going to see it here try to take down one of the titans of the format. And I have to say, Zbex, it's probably going to be pretty tough sledding for the Ruby Amethyst deck here. Although it's definitely winnable, it better go quick.
I will say, I know with the more aggressive decks that like to be fast, if they can get out of the gates ahead of their opponent, then they could take it. But as we've also seen with Sapphire Emerald, as you mentioned, the 2-4-6 version, if it goes late enough, that's where we really start to see them excel, get the lead, get those higher costing cards in play, and really just shifting, bouncing, everything's up to them.
Yeah, all those keywords. Also, I cannot not mention the puppy sleeves right up front. The Tailwagger is some of the best art in the game. There's the fist bump, and these sleeves all the way back from the Into the Inklands kit. Store kit. I love to see them in play here.
Well, and especially with blind decks today, it's open deck list tomorrow. This is almost could be a little bit of a strategy here. Would you think? You know, if you see the puppy dog sleeves, are you suspecting your opponent might be on Emerald Amber dogs?
I just suspect that my opponent has good taste. That's what I say.
That's fair. All right. So starting off here, we saw Alex lead off with a Mulan injured soldier, and following back, Kane is developing their brain.
Yeah, looking at 2 cards, he's cycling a little bit, possibly looking for something that he needs. It's not a bad turn 1 play, especially in this matchup. Now, on the other side, well, when you're looking for something, but on the other side, I want to mention Mulan, Injured Soldier. This is a card that comes into play with damage on it, and that is really relevant in this deck because it has been called before, I will say the name, it has been called before Flinger Dingers because it does damage and then it flings damage from characters to other characters. And so he's setting up something with the Cheshire Cat later, or perhaps with a Mother Gothel to move those damage counters around. The benefit you get is it's a very well-statted character for a 1-drop.
And Diablo Watchful Raven is the second character that we see Alex play. This card is so on curve. It only costs 2. It's uninkable, but it does quest for 2 as well, which is a huge start for Alex. This is exactly what the aggressive Ruby Amethyst deck wants to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the longest time, Smee, Bumbling Mate, was a card that everybody loved because it was a 3-3 that quests for 2 on turn 2. Very, very well statted, very aggressive card. It was one of the most popular cards in the game. And here, it had a drawback. He did take damage if he didn't have a captain in play. And here, Ravensburger gave us this Diablo, which has the exact same stat line. The drawback here is it's uninkable. But it is played because of its aggressive nature. And this is exactly the start that Alex wants. He wants this Diablo on turn 2. He wants to race ahead. He needs to close this out quickly because inevitability here is with the Emerald Sapphire deck.
Yeah, and on Kane's turn, he just played an Improvise and then passed it back. So hopefully we'll get to see some more characters for Alex here, continuing on this momentum. And Elsa, the 5th Spirit, going into his Inkwell, followed by Sisu, Emboldened Warrior. This card absolutely gets huge depending on how many cards are in the opponent's hand.
And I have to apologize. Zbex, I was staring at the cards over on Alex's side, talking all about Diablo, and I think we missed ramp on turn 2 there. Which is an important note because if the Improvise did come out on turn 2, we did miss ramp, so now it's turn 3 and we'll get the Tipo coming out here. But that's a very important note in these decks. They want to go 2, 4, 6, and they have enough cards if they're playing the 1 jump to hit that ramp like 93% of the time, and 91 if you're just running the 8. And so missing it is significant. And that is definitely an avenue that Alex can use to get in. If I didn't miss it, I may have.
No, I think you're right because otherwise, he's putting down his 4th ink this turn. It could have been putting down his 5th. Then that could have been like a Cinderella into a 6th for the next turn. We see Clarabelle, clumsy guest, coming here. preparing for what's to happen on that turn 6.
Absolutely. So
Or 6 ink.
right,
Because it's fast.
right. What this deck really wants to do with the Cinderella line, it has one of the most powerful openings in all of Disney Lorcana right now, which is the ramp on 2, ramp on 3, but it's a 4 cost, so it's a 2/4, and then into the Clarabelle shift. And so you establish the Clarabelle, and then you shift the Clarabelle, and then you can even sing with it to bounce something in your opponent's side of the board. You're welcome. And so it's a very, very powerful opening, and that's what you're pursuing. But if you don't hit the ramp, on turn 4, or even on turn 2. If you don't hit the ramp on turn 2, you can't do it next, and then you don't get that opening.
And now
what do
that
we see on the other
he
side?
hasn't hit it, we see another Sisu Emboldened Warrior, followed by an Olaf Helping Hand. That's 5 characters for Alex. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 lore on board, already with 9. That's a 2-turn clock. Could be faster with some of the cards that are in Amethyst that can just gain lore right away.
Yeah, it's really tough. I said it would be tough sledding for Alex, but this deck can go fast, and going fast it is here.
And we do have to remember Alex was on the play. So that is a huge advantage as well for the aggressive match.
Absolutely. Kudos to Alex for his altar here, or luck perhaps of getting a very strong opening with the 2, and then having the Sisus there with that 2 lore. So
how many cards do you think's in Kane's hand? So how strong is Sisu? Should Kane come back and be able to play any of these 2, 4, 6 cards that are so powerful and have such big strength and willpower stats? It looks like 6 cards in hand, 5, now down to 4 after inking a Donald Duck.
Oh, this is really good, though. We do have an answer here. So challenging is not going to be the answer. What you really need to do is establish... Oh, we are going to play Mother Knows Best. Okay.
Returning a character to the hand.
Yeah, and that Sisu is going to head back. But the way out for Kane here, so we talked about the combo of the Clarabelle, getting that out early. But the other combo everybody knows, and it's one of the reasons you run Emerald Sapphire, is to play the Malicious Mean and Scary combo into the Prince Philip. And that's how Kane wants to answer this board.
But Elsa, fifth Spirit, is going to be exerting Clarabelle, taking her out, leaving Kane with 0 characters on board right now.
Yeah, and that's at an empty board on Alex. That's going pretty well for Alex. This deck is all gas, no breaks right now, and Kane in a bit of a spot.
Yeah, we see Snowstorm is stopping us, only using those frozen characters to our advantage.
Yeah, and let's see if he has John Silver. That will help. John Silver will give Reckless when he comes into play.
Yeah,
like that Sisu, I think, was the choice.
Yep, he chose Sisu, the Emboldened Warrior, which is good. Make Sisu challenge at least one of the characters that can quest for 2. I love that. And we see the library gift for Belle coming down. Now, this location is really cool in this deck. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this is a 1/8. It's a card that's been very popular since it came back out in Shimmering Skies, I believe. So it's been around quite a while. But when you have a character here, when it is banished, you get to draw a card. So well, there's a decent amount. I was going to say there's a decent amount of card draw, but it's very, very well statted. It gets you lore, and it also can win you the game, like it did here.
Yeah, and that was it. The game 1 done and headed for Alex.
I blinked. Normally I have time, Zebex, to talk about like lines and game plans and all that, but we were moving so fast. That's
what game 2 is for, Liam.
Right?
That's what game 2 is for.
That was quick. So. Into an aggro matchup, and you often see this in the dogs. Kane's game plan here is not necessarily to pursue that Clarabelle line. You want to, if you can, but you're really trying to pursue that Malicious Mean and Scary line. You need to hit that combo as fast as possible. Under the Sea is also a possibility against aggro decks. The problem, if you're running it, the problem here for Ruby M is they're running cards like that Diablo, like that Sisu, which are too strong for Under the Sea to hit. So that's not an answer. The big thing you need to go for, if you think your opponent's going to go wide, which Alex does want to do, is the Malicious Mean and Scary into the Prince Philip. And so finding the 3-drop Philip and that Malicious Mean and Scary is
Prince
pretty big.
Philip, Royal Explorer, for those of you at home, that's what we're going to be watching for this game, to see if Kane can get the extra edge here and be able to take game 2 as a victory and take us to a game 3 for this round 6 match.
And there's that fist bump. So now Kane here on the play. Again, we did miss ramp. The thing is, Zebex, like, the interesting thing about ramp, like I talked about the percentages, 91% with 8 in the deck, 93-something%.
It's pretty unlikely that he missed it
unlikely. But with 9. But a lot of players choose to play the 9th ramp, the 1 jump ahead, in order to get that extra 2%. It's that important to hit ramp. You're giving away 2 games out of 100.
All right, starting off here in game 2, we do just see Kane passing after doing some ramping, and then Tinkerbell, fancy footwork, a nice character, lots of strength there, a 3-1, just vanilla otherwise, and then more ramp from Kane. And Did we miss it again?
No, he did hit the ramp on 2.
Okay.
It's perfect. He's right on track, and actually had extra because he did Inca and Azurite Sea, so insurance ramp there. So he is on track and feels extra good on the play, able to pursue that combo a little bit. We do have that Diablo now.
Another one, the Watchful Raven. That's who we like to see coming down.
So again, another fast start here for Alex with that turn 2 play. We'll see if he can follow it up with the Sisu next turn. Kane now back over. He does have the Cinderella as well. So this is when we say 2, 4, 6 is what we're talking about. It's a 2-drop, a 4-drop, and then a 6-drop.
And here she comes, right? There she is, Cinderella, dream come true. And of course, that's the ability that you're referring to, where if you do have a princess that you played this turn, she counts herself, then you get to put an extra card into your inkwell.
And draw a card, which is
Just
incredibly
so
impactful.
many things.
Incredibly impactful.
She is legendary, so let's give her that credit.
She is a dream come true for Sapphire players, isn't she? Came out in Whispers in the Well. Everybody knew she would be make a big splash, and she did, making an appearance in a good chunk of the Sapphire build. So Kane now, we're seeing exactly what his deck wants to do. Game 1 was kind of clunky. Game 2, though, we have the 2, they have the 4. We'll see what there is on the 6.
When we're inking Dumbo, Ninth Wonder of the Universe, into a Cheshire Cat. Inexplicable. I love this Whisper.
Yeah, and this is a great card here.
Does the damage moving strategy in this matchup help very much? Because I feel like some of the Sapphire Emerald characters have such strong willpower.
It can help a little. Oh, it's all
Especially when you shift into Clarabelle, light on her hooves, and look at that foil. Oh, so many foils. They're so beautiful.
This is the textbook opening for this deck. It is Clarabelle on 6 and having that Cinderella to then sing your welcome. We're going to choose the Cheshire Cat, send it back to hand. That means, back to hand, only to go back to the deck. Alex is going to draw 2 cards, refilling his hand, which means that at the end of turn, Kane will benefit from those extra cards, able to draw a good chunk. And when you're talking about this, this is one of the strongest openings in all of Lorcana right now, Zebex, and getting to see his deck do exactly what it wants to do. This is why you play Sapphire Emerald. It's for this opening.
Yeah, I love it. I love that we get to see the cards doing what they're supposed to do and how timely. Apparently, he didn't want the Cheshire Cat to stick around. Much easier to deal with these other smaller characters that came out first.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now Alex, again, the game plan here is go wide. He does have a decent amount of cards in hand, but once you're at this point of the game, Kane has a lot of removal answers available. He does have the You're Welcome.
Well, and especially with Clarabelle's ability, light on her hooves, Kane's constantly going to be able to match up to any additional cards that Alex will have in hand until that Clarabelle is banished.
Yeah, when we watch these Clarabelle matchups, and it's usually in Emerald Sapphire right now, there's this sub-game of hand manipulation that is going on. You constantly need to pay attention to the number of cards in your hand. If you're Kane on this deck, you're constantly eyeballing the number of cards in your opponent's hand and then trying to manipulate your hand down every single turn in order to maximize your draw. And so one of the things we watch in this matchup is that exact thing. And
here comes Hercules, Mighty Leader. Love that. Oh, and we've got another Reader. He does have some really cool abilities on him, both for himself and for your other characters.
This character can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged, and while he's exerted, your other hero characters can't be dealt damage unless they're being challenged. So that will work in concert with several cards in this deck. But at this point, yeah, it's not a bad card in this deck. It's one of the reasons you won.
Yeah, I think it could definitely still be relevant and let him get through some challenges depending on what other cards come down into play. And wow, the foils in this deck, we have there it is, the Malicious, Mean, and Scary being just... Oh, wow. Two pieces of removal back to back. We see Alex's board is completely cleared now after a You're Welcome and a Malicious, Mean, and Scary.
And that's why, so when I say at the beginning of the game that inevitability is with the Emerald Sapphire deck, what we mean is, and you're familiar with this term, it's a TCG term, and experienced TCG players know what it means. If the game goes long, this is the deck that is going to win. It is the deck that wants the game to go as long as possible, and that's because there's so many removal answers available. Once this deck gets going, it can draw so many cards, it finds everything it needs to keep both individual targets and then mass targets under control once you have that. Now that we have that board wipe available with the MMM and Prince Philip.
Well, and that's why we describe these decks as aggro, because we want them to win in the first parts of the game. Otherwise, we do see your opponent who's on that more mid-range deck taking the win or taking the lead. But you do have to note, your games might go longer throughout the day. So we are playing an 8-round tournament here. We're only in round 6. So that could be a lot of mental strain on our player. Of course, our players are practiced here and skilled, so we're not worried about that.
That's true. Headless Horseman coming down now. Terror of Sleepy Hollow will banish a 2 strength or less character upon entering play, so sending that Cinderella to the discard pile. It does have an effect where it gives your opposing or your other character strength, but it wants a wide board, standing alone there, not where it wants to be. Kane now, Visions of the Future, digging 5 cards deeper, and he's just, everything's online now.
Yeah, and here we see, oh, we've got Basil.
Another removal on a body here, bouncing that Headless Horseman back to hand.
Yes, another very strong piece, a little bit higher cost, but it doesn't matter at this point in the game that we've gotten to with the Sapphire Emerald deck.
Yeah, in this game, it's just going to be tough sledding for Alex. I mean, what he wants to do ideally is to drop a bunch of characters on the board to force Kane to have that wide removal, but
Kane has taken control of the dance floor. He said Clarabelle is going to be light on her hoofs. He's taken over the aux cord. The DJ booth is now set up, and Basil is there as well. The library, they don't like loud music there.
No, and just trying to dump everything on the board here. They don't like it in the library. You got to be quiet. They say, shh. Except in Belle's library, because Beast is there yelling. And
well, that's true.
But over here, so that library, you ideally would love to slide those characters over, but just trying to put stuff on the board to force Kane to deal with it. Not going to be super impactful right now.
Yeah, both players' lore totals, we see Kane at 2 and Alex at 5, but that is likely to change soon. I expect Kane to start making the move, questing with characters, especially as we see Prince Philip, Vanquisher of Foes, coming down here, able to just take care of another character, constantly clearing off Alex's board.
Yeah, when you dig this much and when you're drawing this many cards, you just have, I mean, there's just a lot of answers here.
I feel like we might get to see a game 3.
We'll see. I mean, it is definitely possible. So Alex also part of the problem with Clarabelle is in this game. I'll finish that thought in a second because we do see your welcome come down. Just going to send that library back to the deck, force Alex to draw 2 more cards, and Kane here happy not only to get that off the board, but even happier to send an additional 2 cards into Alex's hand, which is going to benefit even more with that Clarabelle.
Yes.
It's a combination that we've seen work together for a while and being used to maximum effect here. But Alex's way, as I mentioned before, back in this game is going wide, forcing him to have that combo. Other than that, it's really tough sledding. And one of the things that makes Clarabelle so frustrating and Diablo before him is, as a player, oftentimes your route back into the game is to dig, is to look for cards, is to fill your hand, to be able to go wide. And you get punished for doing that when your opponent benefits from your card draw as well. And so Clarabelle, just a frustrating card to play against if you can't deal with it. And Alex's deck, not a lot to deal with it, unless he can find another Elsa, perhaps.
So let me ask you something. There is a newer card that we got in Whispers of the Well that might be in Alex's deck. First, we see Hercules, Mighty Leader, coming down, followed by Sisu, Immortal Warrior. So he's doing his best to catch up with these characters and fight that removal. Diablo is going to go ahead and quest to take him up to 5 lore. But with a card such as Demona or some of our other gargoyles that we have, that would even out the hand sizes a little bit. Is that something that you think would benefit him in this particular state of the game right now?
I think absolutely. Kane's been digging for cards that he needs. He's been drawing a ton of cards, and so Demona would kind of level things out if he could find it.
Ooh,
but,
another malicious, mean, and scary. Ouch.
There it is, coming down, placing 1 damage across the board. Prince Philip going to follow it up, removing everything with damage counters on it on Alex's side of the board, and all of a sudden, Kane, I mean, that's again, that combo is one of the reasons you play this deck, and I think Alex here just going to... Oh, no, we're doing... okay, so that's what happened. I'm sorry. Basil discards a card at random, so we have to shuffle it up. And Kane just doing the choose method. Instead of rolling a die, Cheshire Cat going to be hit there.
Great card to hit, too, randomly.
And again, Basil, a card that synergizes well in this deck. Kane is a player who's going to, benefit from Alex drawing cards, and Basil is going to force you to discard those cards. So this hand manipulation subgame in action.
Well, now look at the lore on board. Yeah, we already had 10 lore represented, 2-turn clock, so we're just going to scoop and go to game 3 here.
Yeah, it's Tale of 2 games, and really the difference is ramp on 2 versus no ramp on 2. when we talk about why it's so important, everybody says like you start the game on game 3 when you're playing these Sapphire ramp decks. The reason is because like if that's when you know if it's going to be a game or not, because when you miss it and you can't pursue your key lines, the game is very, very tough to come back from. And Kane not having a game 1 but a game 2 on his perfect.
Yes,
perfect
we've
opening.
seen now probably one of the least optimal draws that the Sapphire Emerald deck chose to give Kane in game 1, and then one of the most optimal draws in game 2. So it's really anything could happen here in this 3rd game. We're about to see what cards they're going to draw after our players finish altering their hands, giving them a moment to make sure that this final game will take them to where they want to be.
And now Kane on the draw here against this aggressive deck. So Alex does have, again, very strong openings, and on the play, a lot stronger. So
wow, and we see Alex altering 6 cards, and Kane only altering, it looks like 3, maybe 4.
yep. So indicator Kane's got the ramp he needs, and maybe another of the key.
And Alex does not like what he had in his opening hand. He wants some lower cards, get those characters that we can just play down really early. No Headless Horseman or Hercules Mighty Leader right off the bat.
Absolutely. And so really, really important for Alex to play on curve here if he can. So probably shifting to find a turn 2 play, I would guess, or a turn 1.
Yeah.
If he didn't have it. And so those key turns, you can kind of wait a little bit to get into turn 3 if you don't have it.
And we see him nodding a bit. That looked like he was satisfied with what his deck alter gave him. Let's see which Glimmer is coming down first. Olaf, Helping Hand. I love this 1-drop for Amethyst. Has such a cool ability. When it leaves play, you can return another character to your hand.
Yeah, bounce has been such a powerful mechanic for Amethyst for a long time. We did lose the Madaman package, but when players saw this particular bouncy card come back into play, I'm very excited because it synergizes very well with a lot of cards in Amethyst, particularly the Whispers that we saw come out recently.
Cheshire Cat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it'll sit there as a little toolbox card for a while. Alex will quest for it while he can scoop up some lore, and then hoping to set up a very favorable bounce.
He did get the Diablo Watchful Raven on turn 2, so that is looking good for him. This is the same line that we've had all 3 games, though, so it really depends here as we see what happens on turn 2 for Kane and turn 3 coming up. What can he follow it up with?
Yep, hopefully a Sisu, maybe even 2 cards on 3. We do have the ramp here. Tipo coming down. We're going to put another card in the inkwell, so right on plan here. There's the 2.
Love to see it.
And on the other side here, let's see what that nod was all about. It's, man, this game could go long, but these first like 3 or 4 turns is where all of it could be decided.
Oh, and there's Demona definitely going into the inkwell because we'd rather play Sisu Emboldened Warrior.
Yeah, Sisu, another great card to get out here. It does quest for 2. It is very strong, but the lore is what we want right now. Kane likely to follow this up with a Cinderella if he has it. Is that an enchanted version in the bottom?
He has a lot of really beautiful enchanted cards in his deck. Let me tell you, I love seeing a deck that's foiled.
It is not. So Kane thinking about this here. I do imagine if he had that Cinderella, it would be kind of a snap play.
I think that is a Cinderella down there.
All
the little... The pixie dust that floats around her. I don't know what you want to call it. The fairy godmother.
Magic.
Magic, yes.
Magic sparkles.
Making her dream come true.
We'll see. And a quick break here. We're looking at a screen. We'll see what's going on.
Now, something I do want to mention while we're getting this. So we did see Tipo Growing Sun here. We have a little bit of a surprise tomorrow.
Yeah, a little bit of what?
We have a surprise tomorrow.
We do?
Yeah, so if you happen to notice what Disney property Tipo is from.
Oh, I see what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah, so you better be watching the rest of the rounds today and tomorrow because all of us casters have a surprise for you.
Yeah, fun little Disney, a nod to one of my favorite Disney films. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so I don't know. I love that as we watch this match, we're trying to get game 3 back for everybody here shortly, but as I watch this match, what's really exciting about it is you don't like to see games that are like non-games necessarily, like game 1 where it was over really quickly, but
it doesn't feel good.
It does not. But we got to see both decks do what they want to do in this matchup, and we also got to see what happens when you miss ramp in game 1. And so I love these matches where you get to see one deck like on its ideal game plan, you get to see the other deck on its ideal game plan for that matchup, and in this case, it's go fast with Ruby Amethyst. And then we get to go into game 3 and kind of see like how that how it all plays out. Where I don't know. It's really, really fun.
You as the viewer now can determine, okay, we already know that Alex is on the play, and that worked for him game 1. But now both of our players have information. They know what they're playing. They've seen exactly some of the cards that they know to expect. So that obviously affects how they're altering their hands in the beginning and even the plays they're making throughout game 3.
Yeah, and so you're talking about like knowing what to expect in the lines and everything else. Something else worth mentioning is, as we saw, for those who didn't see the meta breakdown earlier, Ruby Amethyst is about, was it 5% of the? It's very, very low.
I think it was 4th.
Fourth or fifth. It wasn't a healthy share of the room. It's
like 9 to 10%.
Yeah, it was. It was like 9 to 10%. This. Boo on me for like bringing up the stat without remembering exactly what it was. I was confusing it with the Emerald Amethyst or whatever, but it's a lower percentage, and it hasn't been a deck that's been super popular. And when you're prepping for this event and you're choosing how to allocate your time, when you're expecting the room to be like 25% Amethyst Steel and then like 20% Blurple, and then you're expecting a lot of Emerald Sapphire and perhaps some Dogs at 10%, like when that's the matchup spread, you're going to choose to devote the preponderance of your time to those matchups. And
Amethyst Steel being your priority because you know you're going to run into it.
Exactly. Because you know you're going to play it over and over again, and it's just math, it's just prep, and so what's interesting is when you have a deck like like Ruby Amethyst, which you expect to see, but you don't expect to see a ton of, and the math tells you that in a 10 or a 12-round event, you may run into it once,
or not at all,
once or not at all.
Yeah.
You don't get as many reps in on it. So it is interesting to think about how often the Sapphire Emerald player in this particular matchup may have actually practiced against this deck, because he's not as familiar with it probably as he would be with decks with larger meta shares.
Well, and this Ruby Amethyst deck definitely has been making a comeback. As you mentioned it earlier, it was played in a competition in November, and the top 2 players of that tournament were on that Ruby Amethyst deck. So now that we're going to another Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Richmond, we're seeing people go back, get that tech, bring it, and see if it can take them all the way to day 2 and to the finals.
Yeah.
It's possible. I know one person on our casting team would like to see that happen. Baker.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because, and this is a good chance to talk about like these people who love ink colors. Because they just love the color identity. Sorry, this is a tangent, but as we get back to the game here, Ruby Amethyst has changed so many times since it debuted in Set 1.
It doesn't even have the removal that it used to.
Yeah, it's a completely different deck now, and it is aggressive. And people who love these colors no matter what form it takes. So it's really fun to watch these players just synergize with these ink colors and want to play it no matter what it looks like.
Sisu Emboldened Warrior is a great example of a card that we had in Season 1 that's now making a reprisal in Season 2. She's taking on a new form, if you'd like to say, as Sisu does.
Yeah, and speaking of newer cards, Malicious Mean Scary, another card new to Whispers in the Well, making an appearance again here. Kane having it to do some damage across the board, clearing off that Olaf. Not using the bounce there.
Fulfilled.
And Genie Wish Fulfilled, the card that people either love to love or love to hate. He's everywhere in all Amethyst builds, pretty much, unless you're Ed Chu in the North American Finals. But Genie Wish Fulfilled, you want to play that on turn 4, refill your hand here. Although again, like you do have that Clarabelle in mind. Amethyst usually wants to refill its hand in the mid game. That's its game plan, as it were. And but keeping that Clarabelle in mind. But not a bad card to establish here. It is evasive. Not a ton of evasive answers on Kane's side of the board.
But the evasive isn't as effective in this matchup because we do see just a bunch of bouncing and vanquishing. All of the Prince fill up with Malicious Mean and Scary's combo. He's just going to use Genie to quest. He wasn't worried about a challenge battle anyway. Absolutely,
absolutely. Again, you're right. Alex just wants to drive this lore total. So getting the real important thing here, getting that card, but getting that 2 lore quester out. Kane here kind of thinking which way he wants to go. You're right. We do see that Cinderella there. And Kane not choosing to play that last turn. Instead, the Malicious Mean and Scary. There's the Clarabelle. There's the You're Welcome.
Sisu
there goes Sisu.
On the bottom of the deck. And Alex, of course, will get to draw 2 cards in place of that. But now we have reached the point where Kane does have a Clarabelle shifted. So almost at the point where we might see him starting to take the lead. But not quite yet. We're still 1 or 2 turns away. Alex is at 7 lore. He has a chance to get ahead.
Yeah, and Kane now setting that Tipo in, going to do a little damage to that Diablo. Going to draw.
Maybe setting up a little Prince Philip combo here, potentially.
Perhaps. But it does feel like the momentum is shifting a little bit here now that Clarabelle's online. She's a big body as well. And again, the longer this game goes on, the more singers Kane has on board, the more he's going to be able to answer every one of Alex's threats. Alex here would love to go wide if he can, I think. But we're going to see that Bell accomplished
Mystic. Yes, this is one of my favorite cards that Amethyst has in Season 2. We get to see some of that damage, moving. I just love that Amethyst has really taken hold of this.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Punished a little bit here, Kane is, for getting that extra damage there on that Diablo, because both those damage counters now available for Bell to slide over there to Clarabelle, removing her from the board. Incredibly impactful play here, cleaning everything up there. Now that 2 lore questers sitting on the board.
And Kane
big
is
play.
Looking for more cards to put down, Visions of the Future, putting Sail the Azurite Sea into the Inkwell, and following it up with a Cinderella Dream Come True. We knew it was in hand. We're going to put more ink into the Inkwell. We're going to draw a card. I feel like this was an okay character to play. This felt good.
Yeah, I mean, you love to play it for the ramp, but even when you're not ramping with it, it is allowing you to cycle your hand a little bit, put an extra card in the Inkwell, draw an extra card. And so when you're looking for answers, when you're looking for combo pieces, she's always an impactful card to play in that regard. Not a big body on the board, though, although she can sing You're Welcome, which could be effective here, but not if she's in the discard pile.
Is going to take care of her, banishing Cinderella since her strength is 2 or less when he comes into play. The Terror of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, this is a card that Ruby Amethyst fans in this particular meta really, really love. The Headless Horseman is a card that you kind of have to play around. You know it's coming, and it's one of the reasons that you play Ruby Amethyst.
Well, and a classic Disney property as well. One of the older movies that we see into Disney Lorcana in print as a glimmer. But John Silver, Alien Pirate, is going to choose the Headless Horseman with Reckless.
Yeah, upon quest and upon entering play, giving Reckless that Headless Horseman. So John Silver, a great control card in this meta. Kane is, again, at this point of the game, just has various individual and then mass removal options. Alex has put his lore all the way up to 9.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible place to be, but wants to squeak out a couple lore every turn here if he can.
Now, something interesting, we were kind of calling Alex's Ruby Amethyst deck an aggro deck, but currently he's controlling 2 characters, which each cost 5. We're seeing him start to get to more of the mid-range point of the deck here, including Elsa, the 5th Spirit, who will be able to exert John Silver. Would you say that he's now moved into the mid-range part of his deck, or are we going to see some more little characters come down?
Oh, absolutely. It is the mid-range game plan. I mean, we will see some smaller characters come out. This deck does have a lot of lower-cost characters. And again, Alex wants to go wide if possible and force Kane to have that
and a little character
removal.
Like Tinkerbell Fancy Footwork happened to come down right as I said that.
Absolutely. Case in point. But yeah, the Elsa 5th Spirit, incredibly impactful here, that John Silver would keep Alex locked down a little bit on his lore total. And again, Alex wants to 2 lore a turn if possible. Not going to be able to do it here with that Bell being sent back to hand, that Basil doing some bounce work when he comes into play.
Yep, he's definitely on the case, making Kane's way, making the board even again, but I feel like we have kind of moved over towards the time of the game when Kane could potentially now just keep running over. However, Alex, as you mentioned, does still have 11 lore.
Yeah, it feels like it can go either way at this point. Kane has all the answers. Now he's just going to establish the spell.
No damage to move.
No damage to move, but again, 1 or 2 lore a turn is what you want to do. Kane now
representing a
so
2-turn clock if no malicious mean and scaries or any other type of removal is drawn. Of course, Basil able to do his thing here every turn.
Every turn will force a discard. Doing that, again, that hand manipulation subgame we talked about. And at this point, Kane really, really, really wants to have Clarabelle's online and play a high resource game. So one of the things we talk about when we talk about these Emerald Sapphire decks is high resource versus low resource games. And what I mean by that is Kane, high resource in terms of cards in hand. Kane wants to play a game where there are a ton of cards in hand, and he can manipulate Alex's hand, adding cards to them with You're Welcome, dumping cards in his hand into his Inkwell on the board.
Singing Malicious, Mean, and Scary.
To wipe it. There's that board wipe again, clearing things off. It feels pretty good. if you're Kane. Only a couple cards in hand, but 2 of them, or 3 cards in hand, but 2 of them were the ones you needed. But Kane wants to play a high-resource game and benefit from that Clarabelle. He does not want to play a low-resource game where you're top-decking, and that's where he's forced right now. Headless Horseman now coming down on the other side.
With nothing to choose, all of the characters on Kane's side had more than 2 strength, but we see 2 characters coming down, forcing again that it'll only take a couple of turns if there's no more answers. But Basil will answer, unfortunately having to discard Cheshire Cat.
And now I think Alex is in top deck mode, and fortunately for him as well, it looks like that Headless Horseman will have Reckless this turn, having to challenge into one of those 2 exerted characters over there.
I feel like we're going to go for Basil, right? At least it's a trade.
Yeah, seems like the same
and
target.
Stop this discard, please.
Stop the discard shenanigans. So Headless Horseman there charging in, taking that Basil out, and Dumbo being established on the board here. That feels pretty good for Alex at the moment. He really needs some extra cards. He really needs to go wide. We've already seen several Malicious Mean and Scary played, so the answer here is more cards to flood the board. Sail the Azurite Sea now on Kane's side of the board. He's going to dig a little deeper and find that Clarabelle.
Wow. We got rid of one, but she's back. She can't stay off the dance floor, girl.
Dancing her way back in here for sure. And now her card draw ability won't matter all. Oh, but it will.
Mother knows best.
Gracious. Alex really wanted that Dumbo to stay in play.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Even if it's not Mother Gothel telling Rapunzel, Dumbo got told back to the circus.
Back to the service. No more flying around. No card draw for you this turn. And Alex now in a bit of a spot. Really needed that extra card off the Dumbo. And Kane, establishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lore on the board. It seems like the game is well in hand.
Let's replay that Dumbo, 9th wonder of the universe.
And that Tinkerbell with Reckless had to challenge into that John Silver, I believe.
Unfortunately,
well.
yeah, she just was immediately headed to be banished with that Reckless decision.
Oh, goodness
And
gracious.
another John Silver. Geez, he's going to be choosing Dumbo, even if he, now Dumbo is forced to challenge. That is not where Alex wants to be.
No, now the one bright side is he can use the ability here because the only thing it cannot do is quest Reckless. So we'll be able to draw a card and gain a lore, but not able to remove anything at all. And Kane Marin is going to take this game and the match. Overcoming that Ruby Amethyst deck here, I do think was tough sailing for Alex this matchup. He made a good run of it. Unfortunately, not able to overcome, I think, one of his worst matchups.
But we did see Emerald Sapphire finally take a victory here. The other 2 Emerald Sapphire games that I cast for did not result that way. So I am happy to see the deck that I picked to win the entire Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Richmond take a win in round 6.
Yeah, it's a very good chance.